then we had, and then so it would sound closer to a Joanna rather than a Diana, but the
Oh,
translation,
see, I knew. I
yeah,
must be part Russian.
you knew.
Well, I used to teach ice skating, and at a rink that was owned by people from Russia. Where in Russia are you from?
Yeah, um, well, I was born in Tbilisi, Georgia, which used to be part of the Soviet Union, and then I lived in Armenia, which was also part of the Soviet Union. And then we lived a little bit in Moscow and St. Petersburg, but not too much. And then I moved to the U.S. when I was 9 years old in 1993.
There were some dancers when Dancing with the Stars first started, and who were from Russia, and they said that they had choices. They wanted to be ice skaters, but they said, I don't know if it was the Soviet Union or what happened, but they said they couldn't be ice skaters, so they became dancers.
It's probably the Soviet Union because the school systems and just the way the athletics was built, because Olympic sports were so big, and so was dance. So they would actually come into the classroom and pick girls by their body size. So between 7 and 9, 6 and 9, it was one, and then after that they checked again, and then that's how they picked who did what and why. I wanted to do figure skating. I was chosen for gymnastics. I went to the school. I saw the jumping, and I told my mother I was not going to do it.
How tall are you?
I'm not that. I'm only 5'5".
That's pretty tall, though, for gymnastics, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. Yeah. So, but definitely didn't have any career in that. So
Did
I'm
you
just
dance? Did you dance?
I took ballet. But I took it already here in private school.
Here in the U.S., you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
So that was
interesting.
different.
Oh, that's so different. And where's Jesse? Is he coming or?
Oh no, he is just we thank him. He's just distributing our video to other channels so
Oh,
people can watch us in Alberta, Canada, and I believe we're also live in Ontario. So hello, Canada,
hello,
and we can
Canada.
actually get started. We're
Let's
also
do it.
we're airing live in all over, because with Facebook Live and
Right.
YouTube Live, everything just is one click. So really, anyone.
Well, if you could click, you can't always click. That's the
Sometimes you can't
problem.
always click. That is true. But I am so honored that you're doing this interview for a Borderline. I will say I am such a huge fan of the two movies you were in. Dracula, Dead and Loving It, and Robin Hood, A Man in Tights. It just, when I moved to the US, I wanted to learn the American culture. And somehow I found this connection through comedy. And it all started for me with my obsession with Lucille Ball. And I love Lucy.
Everybody, I think there's every girl in the world, the reruns of I Love Lucy, that's what made me want to go into comedy. I said, I want to do that. I want to be her. And then as I got older and a little more refined, not really, but a little bit, I wanted to be Mary Tyler Moore. I think every girl
I see. Yeah.
Every girl. Yeah. Mika, where are you going? You don't want to be on camera anymore? You've had it?
It's so cute.
And so anyway, yeah, I met Mary Tyler Moore once. I never did meet Lucille Ball. I met her granddaughter, and I met people who knew her, who were huge fans of hers and everything. But I never met her. And it's so funny, when I did meet Mary on the lot, which was MTM at the time, and she said, well, what do you want to do, you know? And I go, be you. And she said, oh, okay. She says, well, you're welcome to come, you know, to the lot. This was like way before, you know, 9/11 and everything, when you could get on a lot. And then before COVID, when they would actually let people, you know, be on lots and do things. And so anyway, I did. I went and watched her shows and kind of went around the lot and watched Rhoda and Phyllis and Bob Newhart and all the shows that MTM did. And I said, I don't want to leave. You know, I want to move in here. And then later, when I moved out on my own, I ended up getting a place literally, I guess, in back of or in front of, I'm not sure which direction, but her studio. And so I used to walk all the time. And by then it went to Roseanne Barr when she did her show. And so it was like, oh, I just want to be on this lot. I just want to be in this studio. But everything's changed so much. And, well, of course, the industry has changed a lot, too. And I just kind of miss the old days when people would say, oh, you're interested? Come on over, you know, or let's do it. Which is actually how I kind of started all the time, was because I had just graduated from college, and a friend was very close to my parents. He was like an uncle, you know, and he worked on the lot at Columbia. And so he said, well, I have to go over to see Betty Corday, who was the person who started, she and her husband started Days of Our Lives. And so I said, when you introduce me, say that I'm your niece. And he goes, okay. So he goes, this is my niece, you know, this is my niece. She's a would-be actress. I go, will be. And she goes, I like your attitude. And she brought me on the next day. It was like, things like that were so amazing, but I don't think they happen nowadays. I mean, they might, but it seems that everything is so different, and there's far more corporate interference, as I call it. You know, it's not just a production company anymore.
I would think so. I imagine so.
Whereas, you know,
because even when I was idolized, even when we moved to the U.S., when I idolized Lucille Ball and everybody, when all those movies, I grew up wanting to be in the movies. I wanted to do theater, but aside from having horrible stage fright, I didn't even know how to go around it. Even the 90s and early 2000s. Where do you go? Who do you connect to? Do you just run away to LA? I had no idea. And I would read about, you know, how others started. And it was just because they just showed interest. And I'm thinking, well, now I'm in the new millennium. I'm born in the wrong time. I wish I was born in the at least 50s. That would have been fun.
Yeah,
even
I think
the 40s.
The 50s. Oh, the 40s. Well, that was like mainly the heyday, you know, and then TV, I think, was more in the 50s. But feature films, yes, I always wanted to do musical comedy, but unfortunately my voice was the comedy. It was like, you know, it's not, I can't sing, you know. Dancing would have been fun, and I just love the old musicals, the MGM musicals. You just can't beat them, you know. And you look at all the people, and I was very fortunate in that I got to meet a lot of them, and I got to meet the Nicholas brothers. And it was just to meet those people, you know. At that time, I met Ann Miller. I never met Judy Garland. I met Liza, and I also met her other daughter, Lorna Love. And so that was really exciting. And it was you know, it's such a different time, and now everybody, it's the good and bad is everybody can do something. And so, in other words, you could go to Facebook Live now, you can go to YouTube, you can go, there are so many platforms and streaming platforms, but it's almost like it's overkill because you miss so much. I mean, I'm sure there's a whole world of talent out there that I've never even seen. You know, I mean, just trying to get on this was hard enough, let alone going to TikTok and YouTube and looking for this one and that one. And it's just like, you know, I'm exhausted. I think I'll have a piece of pie or cake.
It is. It is. It's a whole different world. It's a whole different networking game, a marketing game, promotional game, and everybody's trying to just get the views and to be seen. And I think in some senses, the reason for it gets lost in the dynamic. I do miss, I've always loved old Hollywood. I grew up idolizing it. For me, that was, oh, this is America. This is why I'm here. So it's, I watched it progress and, or rather change, I guess. It really has gone through many changes. My first question is for you, because you've made it, you've come from having a dream and to really achieving it. What was that like, especially during that time period?
Well, it's really funny because honestly, I started off as a professional ice skater. And so, but I always knew that I had to do comedy, but not in skating. I took that very seriously. But watching, like, you know, during vacations or something like that, summer, holidays, whatever, the old I Love Lucy's, you know, I mean, they repeat them many different times and everything. And watching I Love Lucy, I said, that's what I have to do, you know. And I did, you know, I was fortunate enough to do commercials and work as a child. And I worked in acting and skating. So I had the best of both worlds. It was like a utopia. And but I still wanted to be Lucy. There was no doubt about it. I had to be Lucy. So back in the day, you know, like in the 90s, there was something called cable access, you know, which they did. So that opened it up for a lot of people. You could do anything you wanted, really, you know. And I mean, there were guidelines that you couldn't do, but I don't know. I mean, even adult type shows, they would just air them after midnight or 11, something like that. And so I was producing for somebody. Oh, I did my own for a while. I was doing sports, and I always wanted to be, another one I wanted to be was Phyllis George. It's like, oh, I want to be Phyllis George and cover NFL football because I love football. You know, football is like my dream, my passion. And I remember being in a restaurant once, and there were all A celebrities in there, and Eric Dickerson walked in, and I just gasped. It was like, you know, and he happened to sit in the booth behind mine. And the poor guy, I just accosted him, you know, and his date was probably, it was, I don't know if it was his date or he was married to her. I mean, at some point I know he married her, but I don't know if they were married then or not. And I just kept turning around going, I want to be you. And he's kind of looking at me, and he goes, huh? And I go, I want to be a running back. And he's like, oh, be anything but. Finally, he got tired of me, you know, annoying him at dinner. He goes, why don't you come join us? I don't even remember with whom I was at dinner, but a bunch of people, like, oh, I'll be right back, you know. And so anyway, I went and joined him, but I sat next to her so she wouldn't be upset. And really the only thing, I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I want to, you know, on your boyfriend or husband or whomever. I just wanted to talk football and hear all about it. And so that was so much fun, and he just, I think to this day, if I ever ran into him again, he'd probably go, run, hide, she's crazy, but it was great. And one of my best friends is Wendell Tyler, who used to play, well, he played for the Rams, and then he left the Rams and went to the Niners, and that's when Eric Dickerson went and played for the Rams. And so I loved it because to me it was like you break through. And when I first started watching football as a kid, they didn't have to catch so much. Now running backs have to go out and catch and everything. All you had to do is have good balance and be able to weave in and out, and I thought that was so cool when they would break through and do the long runs and everything. I thought, this is the greatest thing ever, But now I love football, but I don't think I would want it because from skating, it was you and the ice. So if you wanted to practice all day long because you were having a bad day or wanted to learn something new, it was you and the ice. And of course, it was first the ice's fault if you couldn't do it. It was never your fault. The ice, your blade, your boot, something was wrong. Somebody got in your way. So it was, the thing that I love about sport the most is the discipline. And you can take that into every aspect of your life. The discipline is amazing. And I even did it when I was in school, or college, and I would go places and I would mark out, okay, I have X number of days till a final. So I would practice, learning the highlights of each chapter till I got to the final, and I would go over it and over it and over it and just keep building on it, which is basically what you did with routines, so I still do the same thing, it was like I was on here, but unfortunately, I don't know, technology is just not my friend. I have not mastered it. It's like I'm clicking all the things you're supposed to click, looking at all the places you're supposed to look, and it still doesn't work. And I'm clueless as to how to fix any of it, So technology is not my friend. And that's kind of getting to a point that in acting, which I really don't like, because back in the day, you had an interview, you got the sides, you either read them cold or you got them a day in advance and you learned them and you were familiar with it. But now they expect you to do everything. And I'm so technically challenged, I can't do it. When they say, okay, send in a self-tape, oh, it's easier. No, it's not easier. You still have to get dressed, and at least when you're going on an audition, yes, there is tons of traffic. I get it. But I will fight the traffic any day as opposed to trying to upload or download and upload and send it in. You don't have the proper lighting. You don't have the proper backdrop. You need someone to read with you. And if you have any questions, there's nobody to ask. So I miss not being able to get in the room.
Rather than going in, giving it your all and saying, okay, I feel like this was it. Or I feel like I dropped the ball somewhere. But it doesn't matter because you went in and you did your
back to football. See, you fumbled. Back to football. You fumbled, you dropped the ball. Yep. But yeah, that's it. Another thing, with skating, you're prepared as the athlete, or should be prepared as the athlete, to go out there. You should know your routine. You should be warmed up. You should, all the things, all the check marks. And to go in the room, it's the same thing. You get yourself prepared. So by the time you walk in that room, you're ready. Let's just hit it, whatever we're doing, And oftentimes not oftentimes, a few times, casting directors would say, well, do you want to know more about the character? Unless I really had a question. But if I kind of had my mindset, I would just say, do you mind if I just do it my way? And then if there are any corrections, I'm open, you know. I'd like to see how on or off I am to your interpretation. And most of them would be kind enough to say, yeah, or they'd go, wow, I didn't see it like that, but that's an interesting choice, you know? So at least they could see your range if then they wanted you to do it their way, you know? Can you take direction? Can you do it their way? And that was so much better. It was so much, you left with a feeling of, wow, I did it. You know, I just laid it out. I did everything I possibly could. And maybe they wanted a brunette, or maybe they wanted, you know, a different ethnicity. But now you have no clue. And sometimes you can't even get your video uploaded. So you have to go through another means. And I mean, I've spent as much as 4 to 6 hours. And then the casting directors get upset with you because they go, well, you know, other people are able to do it. Why can't you? I'm technically challenged. I can act. I am just technically challenged, you know? And so it's really, I don't know. I think acting now, you're really at an unfair advantage. The other thing that I think is very unfair is that they only look at people who maybe have minimum of 10,000 followers on Instagram or TikTok or something like that. I mean, on Facebook you can only have 5, but or 5,000 friends. But I don't know. I don't think because you have 10,000 followers means you're an influencer or whatever. I mean, all it's doing is saving them a lot of money by not having to pay a PR person or a
You just
marketing
branded and
person.
promoted yourself. And then the question is, how well did you do that? Did you do that organically, or did you just boost posts, give money to Facebook, and you don't even know who your followers are? Therefore, you don't know who your audience is. And then you're just lost, because even though you might be getting the views, you might not be getting what you want because you're not connected to the people you want to be connected to. So there's such a huge technological marketing promotional play that works, and it's quite a similar thing for publishing to authors. You go through, do you want to submit, you want to self-publish, well, how are you going to do it, how many followers do you have as a writer, and so on. So there's quite a similar structure.
Well, that's a good thing that you mentioned about authors, because I went through that. And my book, let's see, can we see it there?
Oh, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay.
I love the cover.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone
Actually,
needs a cheerleader. Yes, everyone really does need a cheerleader.
right. And the whole purpose of the book is how to write a book campy Elaine style. And this was my dog before Mika, and really my partner in crime. And what it was, and I told people, well, not a lot of people, but I did tell people about it. And at first it started off kind of as a gag gift. You know, I thought, okay, I'm going to write a book that makes you write your story, and I'm going to cheer you on. But what really motivated me was that during the pandemic, I mean, where everyone was shut in, and then they started changing history. And just by removing a statue or removing something does not change history. It happens.
No, it doesn't. It does not change it. It just makes it become voiceless. And when history is voiceless, it's doomed to repeat itself.
Absolutely. And so what happened was I said, okay, this is really important because, you know, this can't happen. I mean, if they can rewrite history, what are people going to say about you or your legacy or whatever? And I thought, every person has a voice, every person has a history, every person has a story. And the good thing about my book is that if you write your book, then you're writing your story. And if you don't like the way your story is going, you can change it to anything you want. No one's going to judge you. No one's going to grade you. It's your story. And I realized, again, you don't know who your audience is or whatever, but the target audience I was reaching for are people who are, I could go for the younger set for what they went through during COVID, and being shut in and missing school and not getting the human touch again, because they're really realizing the damage it did to all of these students. And I'm hoping the industry is listening. The damage it's doing to all the actors,
Oh, yeah.
And it's very funny because Mel Brooks sent me an autographed copy of his book. So I sent him an autographed copy of my book. And his is like 550 pages and mine's about 50 pages. And so I told him all along what I was doing, but he didn't get the aha syndrome. Most people don't get the aha syndrome until they get the book. And the whole idea, which is also what they teach you in life, is, for example, I'll share this. And Rodney Allen Rippey, you might remember him from the Jack in the Box commercials.
Yeah.
He put Jack in the Box on the map. So I was, calling him. He's a little bit more technically savvy, saying, "Help me, how do I do this? What's going on here?" And so he was kind enough. And so I, do that. But the whole idea is, it says, and I'll share this with you, "Congratulations, you showed up. Now take out a pen or a pencil or even a crayon and start writing." So they teach you that maybe 99% of it is showing up and being present. So that's the whole idea. Take the book.
And that is such a hard thing for any creative to do. And I say this as a writer myself, that just taking a pen and pencil or just sitting down to write can be the hardest challenge throughout the day. And having someone just cheer you on or have it in writing in front of you is so powerful. It is one of the reasons I really like sharing my work and my poetry, even just on Facebook and for free. It doesn't matter. It's just because I like the cheerleading aspect when people say, "Yes, you got it." Or even when they say, "Okay, there's something off." But that is such a helpful guide for any creator. And I think all creators are perfectionists. So again, same category.
Right. And then it has you, when you do handwriting, the hand to brain is really far more creative than if you're sitting at your computer or a typewriter and typing it out.
Yeah.
There's some connection, And so that's the whole idea. Congratulations, you showed up. And then without giving the whole book away, it says, see, in chapter 2, when you get to chapter 2, it says, see, and you thought you couldn't do it. Now just keep writing. So it's constant positive reinforcement, constant encouragement, and just cheering you on and doing the whole thing. And then at the end, I will give the ending away. It's, let's see, can you see?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. It says, congratulations, you did it, or not. Hey, everyone needs and deserves a cheerleader. Thank you for choosing me, Campy Lane, and Oreo. That was my dog. And so now when I autograph the books, I sign Heavenly Oreo because he's saying do it. But it's up to you. And the hardest thing is to start. But, if you want to get to the next chapter, you have to complete chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. There are only 10 chapters. And it was very funny because after Mel got the book, he called me up and said, Elaine, you're crazy. But you know what? It's brilliant. It's a brilliant idea.
It really is. Yes, because writers and creators, artists, they were the lowest people. We don't have cheerleaders. Nobody's there to cheer. It's either a critique or something positive, and that's continuously seeking other validation and almost losing your own, because people can be judgmental. People can be mean. It's not always.
And it's really
sweet.
funny. I went to an acting class once and I never forgot it. And the question in the acting class was, you have a pail or a bowl, or not really a bowl, but a big pail, I guess, of crabs. And he said, why do the crabs not get out? It's open. And we're all thinking, And he says, because the ones at the bottom are holding you down. And it's kind of like in life. I mean, people rarely want to see you succeed, or they're really
sad truth of it all. Yes.
If you're already successful, then maybe they want to jump onto your success or wait till you fall. So then they think, because if you fell, that opens up the door for them to get through. But I don't think that's the case. And I think what has done such a disservice to people is TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, where you can, like it says, boost your posts, boost your sales, boost everything. And you're paying for someone to boost you, right, but is it real? And you don't know who these people are. So that gets back to my book of why I self-published, because I wanted to have the communication with the people who were purchasing the book. I wanted to personally autograph it. If they're in the continental U.S., it's free shipping. They can get it on my website, elaineballace.com. ELAINE and B as in boy, ALLACE.com. And there are also, videos and podcasts and everything else that, I've done. Not all of them, but just, some highlights and stuff. And I even have to have a webmaster, kind of going, can you do this? Can you do that? Because I mean, so many people are very good at their own websites and changing it all the time, and I'm just forget it, So whenever I can, and the person's in a good mood, I go, could you do it, please? And so he does, and I'm a little behind on some of this stuff, but it's really interesting because I want a connection with the people who purchased my book. I want to explain to them. And it was interesting because last night I was at a political event for someone who's running for office in California. And I was talking, she's so amazing that she had such a great cross-section, ethnicity, and even political party. And it was so interesting. And I said, well, let me tell you. Someone said, well, I went independent. I said, no, I am no political party, no party preference. That's what it is. And I said, because I want to know the candidates. Right. I don't want to be, kind of boxed into someone because he or she is of a political party preference and I'm not that party, so I can't vote. No, I am very independent, but if you're independent and you're registered, to vote as an independent, oftentimes in the primaries, that's whom you have to vote for.
Oh, so you don't get the choice that you can.
Right. So oftentimes, so someone said, but if you go no party preference, oftentimes you can vote for anybody you want. And I mean, you can always change parties. You know, you could register Democrat or Republican depending upon who's running, whom you want to vote for. And I've done that too, you know, for different candidates. It's like, no, I want that candidate. And it's, I'm open to hearing what everyone has to offer, you know, and how it's going to best suit me and I guess best suit everyone else. You know, it's like, you really want to look at it, and then you see, you know, because I call different political people today, not the person whom the event was for, but I wanted to get into their local areas because I really would love to get this to like seniors who are home alone, and it's very easy to become lazy.
Yes.
Oh, it's like, oh, and I mean, COVID proved that. But I mean, it was like, I don't know, I've got an ache or a pain, or as you grow older, you know, and then people have passed on and you find yourself totally alone. And it's like, at least with my book, I feel like I'm there with you, you know, or they should feel I'm there cheering you on, or they're going to have to answer to me at some chapter in the book, you know. And it's something for them to do. It's something for them to leave a legacy, because people, even your best friends, may not even know what your struggles were, what your dreams were, what anything you were doing was. They know maybe who you are now or what you told them, a story or something, but they don't really know. And if, you know, they pick up the book or someone finds a book, you know, like, you know, Note in the Bottle, you know, but if someone finds the book, anybody, it could be a friend, a relative, a stranger, and they start looking through and they go, wow, this person had a really interesting life. Hey, can you believe this went on, or she had to go through it, or he had to go through it, or something. And it really enlightens everybody to
That's
know.
such a powerful way to learn from each other. It's the same as children learn from one another. They watch, they write stories, they share stories, they act them out, and that's how they learn and that's how they grow. And sometimes I think a society would forget that we have that influence upon each other to share. And I'm so excited too. We have another 15 minutes left here on Borderline. Airing live on Jess Tv, Roku, Apple TV, YouTube Live, and of course, Jess FM Radio and 101.com. Elaine Ballace.
Well, we've covered it. So everybody needs to get a book, and it's personally autographed. It is free shipping in the continental U.S., and there's no excuse, because everyone has a story, everyone has a purpose, everyone has a life, and so it's so important, and it's important to me to do it. And I would love to go, if anybody has a group or anything where they would want me to come and speak, or they have sponsors who would buy the books for the people, it would be so great. And I mean, even for young people, it would be really good to maybe have a dream. What is your dream when you grow up? You know, like Mary Tyler Moore said, what do you want to be? You know, I want to be you. So
sometimes, usually, we really do revert to those childhood dreams. As a child, I wanted to be a writer. I knew that was the dream. And I wanted to have some sort of influence, visual, maybe, and I'm doing it. And it was the scariest thing in overcoming self-doubt. And what's the other one that really holds back? Stage fright. I don't know. It was such a long process just to heal that stage fright, to even be here doing this.
The best way to heal it is just do it.
Yes.
It's really interesting. A movie I did called, I only do Dracula movies. A movie I did called it was Tim Lee's Dracula Bride of Horror. And I was basically the comic relief in it. And Oreo, it was Oreo's last film. But anyway, he is doing, he's in Southeast Asia, I believe it's Thailand. And so he's doing the Southeast Asia International Film Festival, which is the first one over there. And they could go to, it has all the different categories. It has categories for filmmaking, features, shorts, dramas, comedies, horror, everything. And it's so interesting because he was so disappointed with his film, entering it in different film. Actually, I think he only did two because we had one, but going to the film festivals, the ones that, we attended, and they can go to filmfreeway.com and go to the Southeast. It looks like this. I don't know if you can even see it.
Nope, that's good. Okay, I see it. Yep.
Okay.
It's in Thailand.
Yeah, International Film Festival. And they can go and enter, and he's even taking just script, so you don't have to have the movie shot. And so there's a lot of different areas for everyone. And it's so interesting because I think it opens it up internationally. And it's not like Cannes where, that's very political, but this is the first one. And the reason he did it was because he didn't like the way film festivals were run. He wanted to open it up to everybody, to every genre, to every category possible that he could think of, and really try and get a community worldwide. I mean, the good thing about technology now is you can get worldwide.
Yes.
You don't have to be present to be there. He understands not everyone's going to hop a plane and go to Thailand. And even he is, he started off with horror films, but, eventually he's doing Virtual Medusa. And so he's going to do a virtual film. And it's ironic because I just did a film that was co-sponsored by the country Spain. And because there's such a high Hispanic market in California, the Mexican consulate here screened it. And the whole thing was in Spanish, but it was a virtual film that he put together, which is a new thing that people are doing, which is
so cool.
Yeah, which is, I mean, they have used technology for positive as well. And so that one's really good. And Tim is such a creative person, but he is coming back to the U.S. to do a very funny comedy. I'm not at liberty to divulge that yet, but you can see his horror flick, Tim Lee's Dracula Bride of Horror, which is on King of Horror on YouTube, and I think it's on Vimeo and CubeStream, and I think one other one. So that one's really interesting. And then the other thing that's so interesting about it is that I did a film called A Wonderful Life, and it was about, I always tease the director, like, oh, well, I think I'm the comic relief in all of them. But his films are about relationships. Mm-hmm. And this one, I think, is being really promoted in the LGBTQ because of Pride Month. And it is such a wonderful film, but it's about relationships. This one just happens to be two young guys who were really close and really good friends when they were young. And even think they knew who or what other than the love that they had for each other, you know. And years later, they came together, and I played the mother to one of the leads, and another woman played the mother to the other lead, and we were best friends. So, I mean, it just shows relationships. And so that's a whole different thing. And then he goes, well, do you want to do another romantic comedy? Or he's going to do, well, a romance movie? Or do you want to do kind of a horror comedy? And it was like, horror comedy, anything with comedy, I'm in, you know? And any horror flick, I can turn it into a comedy. And so he's working on the script now. And so I'm just really looking forward to it. He was going to do it about 8 years ago, and he just never liked the script. So I'm afraid to even give the name yet, because I feel
we're going to have you back on the show. And you're just gonna keep us updated. I didn't even get to ask all the fun questions I had set up for you, because I wanted to completely, as a fangirl of Leslie Nielsen and just
he was fun.
Yes, I grew up on Police Academy, as I said, just humor. It was just the way I could understand and relate. It was the easiest way as a child, I found, that could really understand American culture. And so I did. I think we can stretch it a little bit. My last question: what was it like to be on set of Dracula?
Dead and Loving It. Well, it was wonderful. I mean, I've done 4 movies with Mel Brooks. I did Spaceballs, and he's supposed to be doing Spaceballs 2, but I don't think he's going to be hands-on. He's celebrating his 98th birthday, so he's more than done it all, you know. I think he's just sort of lending his name and some of the creativity, but it was so much fun. And Leslie Nielsen is wonderful. I mean, he was just so great to work with. But backtracking a little, and Mel's the greatest. I mean, he's my favorite person in the whole world. You had mentioned Police Academy, and I happen to be good friends with Steve Guttenberg, and I did a film with him.
Oh, he's wonderful. Yeah, he is. So I might have had weird celebrity fandom as a child. I didn't have them for whatever was popular in the 90s. It was mostly like all the...
Well, it's very funny, because when we did the movie Looking Up, Marvin Kaplan was the one who wrote and produced it, and he was on Alice, the sitcom Alice, and he was in everything on Broadway and everything. He was the one with the glasses. If you look him up, you can go to IMDb and look up Marvin Kaplan. Well, anyway, Steve pretty much played him, but he wouldn't tell any of us, you know, who the star was. So we're all sitting at the table, read and everything, and the door opens and Steve walked in, and I just went, because I was a fan. I was such a fan. And to say he's a friend now is just so amazing, because he's so talented, so kind, so wonderful. And he loves Mika, so that's good. He's just terrific. So I've been blessed in many ways to work with some of the best, you know. I mean, there's Mel, and then it goes, you know. But I mean, and even I never did work with Mary Tyler Moore, but I mean, the fact that she was so open and receptive to letting me come on the set, you know, that was kind enough. And there's still people I would love to work with and meet. You know, I think we all have our fans.
Oh, yeah. And the list always grows and changes. You never know who you might add to it.
Well, I know I want to meet Mick Jagger.
Oh, that would be really cool. Yeah.
And I met Keith Richards, which was wonderful, and he was terrific. I'll always be a fan. But Mel went to, it was an award show, and there was a party afterwards. And I called him up the next day, and I go, well, how was the party? Who was there? And he's telling me all these people. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, Mick Jagger was there. And I went, okay, Mel, I'm jealous. And he goes, he came over to me, And he goes, you know, we're getting old. And Mel goes, I am old, you're getting, you know. And he goes, well, I thought I'd come over and we could kibitz a little, you know. And so Mel goes, sit down, you know. And I went, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous, you know. I mean, that's when you know you're a superstar, when Mick Jagger comes to you, you know. That's, so there are still hierarchies in everything.
There always are. But for our last minute and before we say our good night, I want to ask you, what would you tell anyone who's starting out or anyone who's feeling maybe they want to enter the realm of acting or creativity?
You know, the thing that I would say, and this comes from my skating roots, you know, because acting is so different now. You could get 1 million followers on TikTok by doing whatever. It doesn't mean you can act. I still say learn your craft eventually. I mean, I know with the TikTok and the self-tapes, you're supposed to learn, you know, lighting and this. And I mean, it's always good to know. But learn your craft first and foremost, because eventually you're not going to be that cute, or you're not going to be, that's not going to trend or something. And I think when in doubt, fall back on your knowledge and your talent and your craft that you've learned and studied. And that's coming from an athlete. You know, it's like you're not going to go out just and do, you know, I mean, as a beginner, kids all want to do, oh, I want to do the doubles or the triples or whatever. Learn how to skate. Learn what an edge is.
I was the kid that already wanted to do the triples and the doubles, but they make it so easy. Oh.
It's not.
It really isn't. It's one I really always loved. And like I said, we are going to have you back and get into more detail about so many things. It was so lovely chatting with you.
Ditto. I love chatting with you. You're just delightful.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I honestly would love to do one more show. I would love to have you on Wild and have you connect with Ashton, my co-host. And the show is called What I Love Doing, Wild. Isn't that wild?
I love it. Do people tell you that you remind them of Fran Drescher?
Yes, I've heard that. Yes.
A young Fran Drescher.
I love Fran Drescher. And then when The Nanny came out, I was so...
the Nanny.
There's someone who I kind of look like on TV.
It's more the sound, too.
Is it the sound, too?
It's the sound, yeah. It's the sound. But I met her once, and then I saw her at, you know, during the strike. She was out and about, but we don't really see much of her now. So, but I would love to come back and love to be wild.
Yes.
We'll be wild and crazy.
Yes. Again, thank you so much for being here.
And now I'll know where to check every little box. And it still took forever. It just kept rendering and rendering and rendering. So it was like, am I ever going to get on? And I started literally at, you know, you said be here by 5:45, I guess, my time. I started at 5:20 my time. Making sure that I had everything right. I couldn't get anything. And then that's why I was trying to call you. It's like, wait, I don't even have her phone number. You know, well, I'm here. What do I do? You know, I felt helpless.
I'll guide you a little bit more along the way with the next one. I'll know to email you now.
Yes, definitely email, because the phone thing is not good. And it didn't work at all on my phone. That was the irony.
The link, it's not going to. But if you have, I prefer this distribution way. I think
it's much
better. So that's why I don't try the Zoom or anything. I trust Jessie. He sends a good link. I click it and it works.
I don't know why I have such problems. Everyone calls me TC, technically challenged. And they go, technology is not your friend. So I think instead of starting 15 or 20 minutes earlier, I'll just start like an hour earlier.
Well, now that I know this, I'll be better prepared to guide you too. So I'm really excited for the next one. Yes.
I can take direction. Wait, Mika wants to say goodbye. Come here. Come here. She wants to say goodbye. She knew we were ending. Okay, so she's going to say goodbye.
You're so beautiful.
Say thank you.
So cute.
Thank you. Okay, she was here. She kept pulling and tugging, and now that she knows it's over, she wants to say goodbye. Say goodbye. Say, I'll see you next time.
Yes.
My mother's technically challenged, but I'll help her.
We'll get it. We'll get it done.
Yes, and they can contact me on all social media. I'm not that good on X either. There's like too much.
I'll connect for everybody with this video once we start sharing the links, and in your intro, I'll include the links.
Okay, perfect. And please,
so everybody can be connected. I'm a big connector. I believe in it.
And please put it on my page. And you can put it on. You can put it on my Instagram at Elaine Ballace, at X at Elaine Ballace, Facebook at Elaine Ballace. And the only one that won't work, you will have to send me a link so I can put it on my website. But please, I hope that people will go to my website and will get the book, because it's a catharsis.
I love it. I love it. Best of luck, and I look forward to seeing you on Wild.
I will be wild, and I'll wear something wild too.
Awesome.
How's that?
Awesome. It is summertime here in Boston, so I can join in the fun.
Oh, is that where you are in Boston? Where?
I'm in Belmont, so really right outside, right by Cambridge.
Oh, I was in Cambridge. This is embarrassing. I did some graduate work at MIT. And can't do anything technically, but I was in urban studies. So I was trying to get...
You know the city.
Yeah, so do they still have the tea room there, the Boston Tea Room?
Yes.
Oh, that was like one of my favorite restaurants. But the funny story about that is you have to eat and hold your plate. Otherwise, they're there to take it if you put your forks down. So, but I was there for 1 year, but I'm a Cali girl. It was too cold in the snow.
Cold, yeah. The weather gets to you. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the education. I wanted a good football team. But I hope you'll come to LA sometime and we'll show you around.
I love LA. I try to make it out. I'm hoping that's another family trip, because I love California.
Oh, good.
I hope to live there, so maybe one day I'll actually move out.
Welcome to Los Angeles.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, and I look forward to Wild.
Yes, I'll be in touch with the details, and thank you to everyone that's been listening. Have a great night.
Absolutely. And if they have any questions, feel free to write.
Elaine Ballace.
They'll find me.
Yes.